All right, today we're cracking open a true legend, the SAS Survival Handbook. We're going to uncover its single most important and honestly most surprising lesson, that when it all goes wrong, the best piece of survival gear you have is right between your ears. Let's get into it. Okay, so picture this. You're lost, deep in the wilderness. What's the one thing you're desperate for? For most of us, it's going to be something you can hold, right? A sharp knife, a fire starter, maybe a compass. And look, those are all great answers, but according to our source today, they're also the wrong answers. So, where are we getting all this from? It's all coming from John Lofty Wiseman's The SAS Survival Handbook. This thing came out way back in 1986, and it's still considered the Bible for this stuff. And it's not about being some tough guy, conquering the wild. It's about being smart enough to get home in one piece. And the guy who wrote it? Wow, his resume is just unbelievable. We're talking about John Lofty Wiseman. This man spent 26 years, 26, in the SAS, Britain's top-tier special forces. And get this, he was the youngest person ever to pass their selection process, which is just insane. Eventually, he became their chief survival instructor. So yeah, this isn't some textbook theory. This is knowledge learned the hard way. So you hear SAS survival instructor, and you're thinking the book's got to be all about fancy knots and how to build traps, right? And yeah, that stuff's in there. But the biggest, most profound lesson, it's about something else entirely. It's all about your mindset. Wiseman says survival is 90% psychology. Yeah, you heard me. 90%. Just let that sink in for a second. All your cool gear, all the skills you've learned, that's just the last 10%. The real point is that what's in your backpack doesn't matter nearly as much as what's in your head. He calls this the survival spirit. And here's the kicker. The will to live isn't some magic quality you're either born with or you're not. No. Wiseman insists it's a muscle. It's something you have to train, something you have to exercise, so that when you really, really need it, it's strong enough to pull you through. This quote from the man himself just nails it perfectly. He says, "Survival is the art of staying alive. Any equipment you have is a bonus." A bonus! Think about that. He's saying you are the main tool. Your brain, your ingenuity, your sheer will to keep going. Everything else is just a nice to have. Okay, so this whole mind-first approach sounds great, but how does it actually play out in a real situation? Well, it all starts with what you do in those first few critical moments after you realize things have gone wrong. You know that gut punch feeling when you realize you are totally, completely lost? Your brain just screams panic, adrenaline floods your system, and the instinct is just to run, right? To do anything. Well, Wiseman says that is the single most dangerous thing you can do. You'll burn precious energy, you'll probably get hurt, and you're just gonna get yourself even more lost. So what's his solution? It's genius, and it's simple. Just stop. It's actually an acronym. S is for sit down. Literally plant yourself on the ground and stop moving. T is for think. Assess the situation with your brain, not your adrenaline. O is for observe. What's actually around you? What do you have to work with? And P is for plan. Come up with a logical next step. See? By forcing your body to be still, you let your brain take back control from that panic reflex. And that same logic, thinking before you act, is exactly how the SAS approach shatters a ton of common survival myths. So let's run through a few of these, because some of this so-called common sense stuff can literally get you killed. First one up, water. You're dying of thirst. You find a beautiful, crystal clear stream. The myth says, drink up. It looks clean, right? The SAS reality? Nope. That water could be crawling with invisible parasites that will make you so sick you can't move. A pro always assumes water is contaminated. You boil it or you purify it, pure it. How about when you're freezing cold? The myth says to do jumping jacks, run in place, get the blood pumping. Makes sense, right? Wrong. The SAS approach is all about conserving energy. If you overdo it and start to sweat, your clothes get damp. And damp clothes suck heat away from your body like a magnet. That's a fast track to hypothermia. It's a total death trap. Next, let's talk shelter. The instinct is to build something big and roomy, right? The myth says to make it comfortable. The reality? A huge shelter is a huge mistake. The only furnace you have out there is your own body. You need a small, even cramped space that traps that body heat around you. Think more like a sleeping bag, less like a mansion. And finally, fire. The myth is to build this massive, roaring bonfire. The SAS way is all about efficiency. You build a small, sustainable fire and you sit close to it. Then, and here's the clever part, you build a wall of rocks or logs behind you to act as a heat reflector. It bounces all that warmth right back at you. You get twice the heat for half the fuel. That's working smart. This whole idea of using your brain instead of just brute force is perfectly captured in a technique like the solar still. I mean, this is pure ingenuity. It's a way to pull life-saving water from what looks like dry ground, using basically a sheet of plastic and the sun. It sounds like magic, but it's just science. It's so simple, you just dig a hole, put a cup in the middle, then you cover the hole with the plastic sheet and put a small rock in the center so it dips down. The sun heats the ground, the moisture evaporates up, hits the cool plastic, condenses, and then all those little water droplets run down to that low point and drip right into your cup. Pure distilled water from dirt. That is knowledge in action. And this really brings us full circle, back to the core idea of this whole explainer. The techniques are amazing, and sure, the gear is useful, but there is one tool that is more important than all the others combined. So here it is, the ultimate takeaway. Your equipment can break, it can get lost, it can fail you when you need it most. But your knowledge, your creativity, and that trained survival spirit, those are things that can never be taken from you. They are the only tools you can truly 100% rely on. Think about it this way. A knife will get dull, and matches will get wet, but your mind, you can always be sharpening your mind. The SAS Survival Handbook doesn't just teach you a bunch of skills, it teaches you a way of thinking. So I'll leave you with this one last question. Are you training your most important tool?